All right, so we are back with another episode of Redefining Success. And today we are going to be talking about how to navigate change with faith. And this could be pretty scary as in this entrepreneurial journey that we're all embarking on here, that it feels like sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, how do we do all this? How do we navigate and still maintain our faith, our confidence, and really the vision? And so today we have a lot to unpack. So I'd love for Amy to help kick us off and share a little bit more about some of the insights and some of the lessons that you've learned through your journey.
Yeah. I mean, this whole journey has been about faith. And we talked about this a little bit last week. Faith isn't just, believing in something bigger than you, it's also having that belief in yourself. Believe in the things you can't necessarily see at the time, but you know are real. Following that calling, really leaning into that. And that's what I had to do to kickstart my journey because I came from a career in healthcare. I was the box checker. I literally had my life planned out on paper. I was living my dream life, but it wasn't until the pandemic where the world suddenly stopped that I had the time to pause and really reflect inwards as to what do I want out of this life. And I realized that the life that I was living wasn't really aligned with where I was going. And so I took a leap of faith and I had to really get quiet and work through that process of just trusting in God and trusting in myself and trusting that, all right, I'm being pulled in this other direction. Let's just go for it. So that's really where my journey began. And it's been having a lot of faith, it's really been in having faith in surrendering to just surrendering and trusting in the higher power, trusting in myself, and just really focusing more so on what I had to gain versus what I was losing. And I think that's really important, especially as an entrepreneur or no matter where you're at in life, that we focus on what we have to gain instead of what we could potentially lose. How about
Mm,
you?
Great point. And I couldn't agree more with what you just said. For us to gain, we have to lose. We have to lose something, right?
Right.
And a lot of times that's the scary part, that we don't want to give up what we already know, right? So that's our comfort, our certainty, the ways of doing things, because that's a way that we can control the outcome and provide that comfort and security internally while we're venturing into a path of the unknown, right? Because as we're constantly changing, and we know this in business, but more importantly, we know this in life, that at any given moment, something could happen. And, one of the scriptures that I always come back to is Proverbs 16. Says, we make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. And so no matter how many times that we could feel like we have the upper edge and like we plan out everything from, today's work to, you know, the first quarter to the second quarter and so on, as it is in business, where we're really honing in on tracking the progress and success. But if we don't realize where we're going and what we're doing and how to navigate that with with faith, with confidence, but more importantly, with God at the helm of this business, because he's at the helm of our lives. And so one of the things that for me I recognize is the more that I learn to let go of the how and just surrender to what could be, there creates this gap where we allow God back into our business, back into our life. And instead of us trying to figure out how to get around all these obstacles and challenges, we can ask and lean into the power of prayer and let faith be our guide and our compass, because we know the expected outcome. And one of the things that for me, is like just embracing life's transitions as we're going through these different seasons. That's sometimes where we want to take over the reins and control, to think that we can better dictate and determine the outcome. But, what I realized just in my own journey is that when I do let go and I surrender, it and opens a way for new opportunities, areas of growth and learning come in, finding ways for, to you as a person to grow personally and spiritually as well. And that's one of the things is like faith is that guiding light. It can help point us and guide us on that path to becoming more resilient in those times that we might fall down and make those, those quote unquote failures happen. But again, it's picking ourselves back up and putting our faith back into the one source that has gotten us to where we're at today. And that's something that I recognize in my own journey, which has been truly remarkable and incredible to do life alongside somebody and the biggest source of them all. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's really about learning to let go and surrendering. So often we're seeking all these answers outside of ourselves. But when was the last time you got quiet and really just listened and looked around you for all of the beautiful opportunities that are there right in front of you? Yet we're not seeing them because it's so noisy and we're so consumed with what everyone else is doing. But when we get quiet and we lean into our faith, we realize, oh my gosh, this all makes sense. Everything is working out for me exactly as it should. And at the time when you're navigating this, it is scary, but that's where your faith can get you through. It gives you that courage to keep going, even despite that uncertainty, because that's the only thing in life that's guaranteed, right? Is that it's always going to be changing. And there's so much that's out of our control, but we can control our attitude. We can control our response to these situations. And honestly, my faith has been what's gotten me through those challenging times. How about you?
Thing faith has been the one thing that I've always held on to near and dear because I mean, like I said, everything in life and business can be taken away at any moment. And, at that time, instead of us turning to, outside sources, we have to look within and say, Lord, what happened? How did we get here? And start having those one-on-one conversations. And I think that that's one of the biggest proponents to having a faith-based business and lifestyle is that you can have that conversation. And that's what the power of prayer is. It's a two-way street. It's a conversation. And it's not ever really about, you know, like not sure what to say or do. But that's the beauty of that relationship. And again, it's not religion, it's relationship because when you can have a relationship with your one true God and creator, that becomes you having a conversation. But sometimes we are more of selective hearing and passive listeners, right?
Yeah, that's
So
the perfect way to put it.
we ask the prayer, but then we go about busy and we forget to hear, we forget to tune in, we forget to listen. And it's that quietness, that stillness, that whisper that's inside, that's that intuition, that guide, that like moral compass, the Holy Spirit, all of it, it's inside. But we have to be quiet enough to receive the answers that we're looking for because they're not out there. They're all within. And so that's just something I've learned in my journey. And it's been so cool that I can have this two-way conversation. And even in the midst of chaos, I'm like, oh my God, why is this happening? It's like, listen, you'll figure that out. And it's not always the answer you're going to look for or want to hear, but it's the answer that brings that peace of heart and mind inside. And that's what gives us that peace to keep going through this chaos of life and business. But yeah, that's something that has really helped shape my perspective of life and business through that faith driven lens. And so now when I look at an obstacle or something that's happening in my business, it doesn't seem so big and scary because the light is the word and the word is within. So when we can seek within, it's not so dark and lonely because we're already in a place where we can see and receive our next steps, our consulting, our guidance, our words of encouragement that gives us that inner peace so that we can confidently move forward in business and in life and navigate this change through that faith focused lens.
Yeah, exactly. And something else that you said that was really, really powerful is, we think all the time when something isn't going to plan, why is this happening?
Mhm.
And just really opening our eyes and looking for the lesson in the hardship is such a powerful tool as an entrepreneur. And so often these opportunities are right there. They're right in front of us. But like you said, we're so focused on everything that's going wrong that we're forgetting to look for the lesson. because that's where we grow. We grow through the resilience, we grow through the hardships. But at the end of the day, look at how much you grow during those periods of time where you're like, I can't do this anymore. It's waking us up. Sometimes it's the wake up call that we need. It can be God's way of saying, hey, I'm putting all these signs in front of you, but apparently they're not big enough. And I mean, I still remember when I finally had the time to get quiet and realize that. But like you said, we like to selectively listen. We like to think that we have all of the control in the world. But at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. And what I love is that there's no right or wrong way to go about this. As long as you have faith in something, that's what's key. And that's the beautiful part of the journey, that we can all have these different beliefs, but then we can come together and realize, okay, we're all striving for something bigger than us. It's for that bigger purpose. It's to make that impact on the world and to help make a difference in serving others with our products, with our services, with our God given gifts. That's what this is all about.
Exactly. It's about tuning in to the loving spirit that is within you. And again, if this is kind of newish to you, faith in your higher purpose, your source, your higher power, things like that, that is unique to you. Obviously, for us, we're specifically talking about our personal faith as well. But tuning into that and knowing that your source will come and give you the light that you need, give you the answers you need. And so it's not about, trying to control or manipulate the situation, because when things do happen, that's when we have these like freak out moments like, oh, I have to figure this out. But how many times have things gone so awry that you're just like, oh, what do I do? And then it ends up turning out better than it ever did before, right? Like we get mad that it didn't work out our plans, but how many times do we go back and be like, wow, thank goodness it didn't work out because this is so much better. And when you have that so much better moment, you realize that that's actually more of the peace. And you're like, wow, this feels much easier, more flow. This feels more aligned than what could have been. And maybe
Right.
that's just, it's all working out for our greater good, which is all for his greater good. So if we're in a place of service, purpose driven women, we tend to lead and live with a servant's heart. And so when we do that, we're all aligning our good works and our deeds to bring glory and honor to the God who's given us this gift and this vision to bring it into the world, to make something of nothing. And that's what's so cool about our creator is that he does that. And it's just a really cool walk of life and business when you get to do that with your creator and, however that looks like for you. But our goal here is just to share our personal experiences, our lessons, some of the cool takeaways that we've learned from a lot of things that have gone wrong in our life and biz. But, we didn't let that be our end all be all, but we continued to persevere and keep on pressing towards the prize, which is the goal that we're striving to achieve, which is our God given goals. And I think that that's so cool.
Yes.
It's so cool,
Yes.
right?
And
Because every day you're winning because you're getting closer in some capacity. Oh my goodness.
right. Right. And that's what we're going to dive into a little bit deeper next week, is the role of faith
Mhm.
in entrepreneurship, how it can help us make better decisions, how it can help us persevere, especially through those rough spots, because it's not always rainbows and unicorns and butterflies. I mean, this is hard and you can't do this alone. You can, but I feel like it's going to create a much harder journey. But at the end of the day, the life is meant to be lived. We are meant to be happy, to serve others, and to really make that impact on the world. So I'm super excited to dive into this even deeper next week when we chat.
Yeah, so am I. So be sure to stay tuned. Next week, we'll be talking about the role of faith in entrepreneurship and taking this a little bit further and taking that deep dive. So I look forward to next week, and I know that we got a lot to unpack. Now, this whole series is a lot to unpack. And of course, we're trying to do these in as bite sized pieces as possible. so that we can continue the momentum. And throughout the series, we hope that we paint the bigger picture for you. So it really feel that you can confidently step into your God given purpose and live and lead with confidence and make that impact in this world today. So thank you so much for listening and join us next week. Take care.